you have your Bibles, please turn your Bibles to Psalm chapter 37. Psalm 37, verses 1 to 5. If you don't have a Bible, sit next to a Christian. The Christian will at least carry a Bible on a Sunday morning. But I thank God for the freedom that we have in our country, that we can carry a physical Bible and make the best use of the opportunity that our government has given to us. There are some countries I have to hide and carry the Bible, and some I cannot carry a Bible. So make the best use of this. Psalm 37, verses 1 to 5. Do not fret because of evildoers, nor be envious of the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and feed on his faithfulness. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. You know, one of the favorite Bible verses that people give is Psalm 37, verse 4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And this verse can be given at any time, in any situation. It cannot go wrong. And it's a very safe verse to be given. Whether we understand or no, at least the second part makes a lot of sense, that he will give you the desires of your heart. You know, I will be mixing my stories as part of this message. And a lot of the times people use this verse and use my testimony. They'll say, look at this, what Benny has done. I was speaking at Miss India Campus Princess for their beauty contest. And afterwards, they wanted to come and hear my sermon wherever I was speaking. So they would come to, these pageants would come to church. And one of the times, this girl came and said, I really believe that God will fulfill the desires of your heart. Because I can see how God has fulfilled, taken you to all these places, given you platforms after platforms. And then she also said, God also fulfills my desires. And that's when it struck to me is, what does it mean? If somebody is successful, can we consider that as that God has fulfilled their desires? And how do we really balance these scriptures into our own lives? You know, I never thought that I could travel. 1996, I got my first passport, applied for my UK visa, and twice I was rejected, saying that you are not fit for travel and there is no guarantee you will come back. But God put that desire in my heart, and he started to take me around. So I went to the US. You can see the first picture. In 1999, I went to US and met this amazing lady, Karen Lafferty, in the center. She's been my mentor for more than 15 years. In fact, she'll be coming next year to Bangalore, and hope I can bring her here. And she wrote the song, Seek Ye First the Kingdom of God. And she picked me up from nothing and encouraged me, mentored me. And I went to America. I didn't even have a bank account. You need to give 6 months bank statement. Without a bank account, when I went and applied for the visa, God miraculously gave me the visa. Literally, in fact, the security guard pulled me off the line and said, this is not for agents. This is for people who are traveling to America. He couldn't believe that I was a person who was traveling there. But God put that desire, and he created this opportunity for me to go there. So I came back. And then in 2002, my brother was getting married. He used me as the excuse to get married as soon as possible. Because I got an invitation from America to come and work there for about 5 years. Now that has to be God's plan, right? You get an invitation from America to come and work there for 5 years. It cannot be anything else other than God's will. So I didn't even need to go and check with God, because I know it is God's will. And I announced to my family that I'm going to America for 5 years to work with YWAM, which meant that permanently I'll be living there. And my brother used me as an excuse, and he went and told my parents that Anna is going He will not be here for 5 years, so I need to get married as soon as possible. So I became the excuse. Super fast, they got married. They had to announce at the wedding why they were getting married so fast, because Benny is traveling to America. So it's a worldwide news now. This was on July 11th. Later on, after a week, I went and applied for my visa. I have all the documents now. I even have a bank account. I went and applied for my visa, and they rejected me. So I went back, knelt down, and I said, God, I don't know what went wrong, but please forgive the American embassy for not understanding your will for my life. Please give them a second chance to do the right thing. And I was serious about that, because I thought that this is how God works. And afterwards, I went and applied again in September, and they rejected. And now I cannot even apply. It was so embarrassing. I couldn't go back to church because people are asking, oh, you came back so soon. I can't visit anyone. I can't go anywhere. I just shut myself off because it was under a lot of humiliation, uncertainty. I thought this was everything for me. And I'm serving the Lord. Going to America has to be God's plan. And I went back and I wrestled with God. I said, God, why? Why did you do this? I never wanted to travel the world. But it was your plan. That is when this whole verse came into the picture. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. And that is where we are going to focus this morning. The context of this psalm is this age-old question, why do righteous people suffer and wicked people prosper? In my case, why do the crooks get American visa and me serving the Lord faithfully got rejected twice? So we might have these questions as we're sitting here. And sometimes it's tempting to envy evil people who enjoy wealth and all the things the world offers. We may even wonder what's the use of following God. Maybe we should just do things the world's way. Maybe you are one of those who are faithful in going to your office on time. And you have your colleagues who somehow cut corners, come late, find different stories, and they never get caught. For the first time you came late and you're caught. And your boss questions you and you're asking the question, this is the first time I came late, and why am I caught? All these people, they keep cutting corners, and how come they escape? Is it worth doing the right thing? Like, I never used to copy in exams in my school days. But at one point, the pressure built up so much from my family, not for 80, 90, just to pass. That's all the pressure was. And I struggled. For the first time in 9th standard, I decided to copy. I learned how to do things. My friends, they said, we have been doing this for 6 months. We have been very successful. And I did everything right, but I got caught. And I said, God, is this fair? They don't even worship you. First of all, worshiping God, you should not copy. That's not the right way to do things. But you see, these are my questions. And might be some of you are asking the question that I've been doing everything right. Why my promotion is not on? Why am I still struggling in this area? Why am I still single? When will I get mingled? Why am I like this? Oh, you're asking this question and you look at the world, people don't even worship the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, are very successful. And is it worth doing the right thing? That's exactly the background of the psalm. In the midst of that, David says, delight yourself in the Lord. Now, we don't understand the starting part, but we like the part which we understand. He will fulfill the desires of your heart. And no wonder we start to claim these desires, claim these blessings, claim these promises, all these things. We claim, and then when we get disappointed, we question God. We think that something is wrong. Sometimes we want to find our own way. The Hebrew word for delight is anang. And it means to be soft, delicate, or exquisite pleasure. To delight oneself in Yahweh is to discover joy in Him as the source, rather than only his blessings. If you say, I want to delight in the Lord, it means that you want to seek the source, not just the blessings. A lot of the times, people would look at the blessings and think that God is on my side. If you're going to use your wealthy or your financial blessings and everything, and you say, look at me, I've done so well financially, that means that God is on my side. The 10 richest men in our country are not followers of Jesus Christ. So do you think that they've done the right thing to attain these earthly, worldly blessings? People who have done the wrong thing and yet have been in powerful positions, who will hold them accountable? If you're going to use earthly definition or materialistic definition of God has blessed me, I'm sorry, that's wrong. What does it mean to really delight? Now, delight precedes desire, okay? Delight comes before desire. When our joy is grounded in Yahweh, then he shapes our desires. See? We don't come with desires and then we tell God, this is what I'm dreaming of. This is what I'm hoping for. This is my ultimate dream in life. God, just say yes. I'm ready to give even 20% tithe. I will come half an hour early to church. I'll attend both the services in Hennur as well as in Kottanur, but just fulfill this desire. That is not what the psalmist is talking about here. It is when our joy is grounded in Yahweh, then he shapes our desires. My question is, where is God's role in shaping your desire? Many times we look at God as the one who will source or finance our desires, not shape our desires. We already have planned things. Parents, how many plans you have for your children? You have already planned things. You want them to take a certain type of a course, a certain type of a job, marry a certain type of a person. Recently, a mother called up and she said, brother, please pray for my daughter. We are only looking for a Malayali. No one else, only Malayali. I said, what if God brings somebody else? No, brother, that does not work like that. Just stick to my prayer request, what I've given you. Or only from a particular caste. Or a particular... No, that is not how God works. If you really say that you want to delight in the Lord, then you have to allow him to shape those desires. Now, my background is from Andhra Pradesh. My parents are, and when I go there, a lot of NRIs, Andhra, they call from there. They'll say, brother, please, any Telugu boy with these qualities. Now, I've become like this matrimony.com with my international travels. And all of the times, it is they say all wonderful things. God-fearing, this. But in bold letters, you can see those things. Fair skin, a salary pack of so much, and has to be of this particular community. That is not how our God looks at. But where is God's role in shaping your children? Parents, I'm asking you this question. Don't allow the marks card to finally say that, brother, my son, nothing he does. He has no interest. Can you please take him to Chai 316? Because I think he's good for serving the Lord. No. At our apologetics DTS, we get the best. We get amazing students. In fact, majority of them come here. And hopefully we'll see the video at the end of the service or so. But it's a brilliant course to see people wanting to be equipped so that they can go into the world, use their intellect and their experience in order to communicate the good news of Jesus Christ, not the leftover. Now, give. He says, delight yourself. We have understood delight. That is, God is God who shapes our desires. But it says give. He will give you the desires of your heart. Now, give can mean more than just grant. As the Hebrew connotation allows two interpretations. First one is, your heart's desires are granted by God. That's something that we all like it. We agree with that? That God grants, your heart's desires are granted by God. But the other one is the desires themselves are given by God, which means that He shapes what your heart desires. He shapes what your heart desires. You're working for a corporate world, you're looking at a change. Is God shaping that desire for a change? Or is it your boss shaping your desire to quit? Challenges, are they ones that shape you to move? I worked in this company for 5 years, Benny. I need a change. Why? Because others are changing. My friends are leaving. Other companies giving me a better salary package. Is that what shapes your change? Or is God bringing that change? What is the role of God in shaping your desires today? Most of the times, we have already planned our desires, our wishes, and we just ask God to approve it. And we are willing to do everything possible for that one thing to come through in our lives. You know, in Hebrew thinking, the heart is not only emotions, but it is the core of thought, will, and decision making. I repeat, in Hebrew thinking, the heart is not only emotions, but the core of thought, will, and decision making. Therefore, it's not about making wishes, but rather it's about the ultimate purpose of life. What is your ultimate purpose in life? What is it? What do you want to do with life? Most of the people in the corporate world don't have a purpose when it comes to ultimate purpose in life. After a certain point, they're tired. Tired of making money, tired of being benched, tired of the pressure that they have to go through. But when we can seek and know the ultimate desire that God has for us, you will not get tired. Now, sometimes I take a flight from Delhi to New York, non-stop, about 15 hours. Land there, straight away go for meeting. 1.5 hours through the traffic. I sit there and people ask me, oh, today's traffic was so bad. I'm already tired. They said, when did you arrive? I said, about 1.5 hours ago. They look at me and they say, how can you be so fresh? Because one, I'm doing it not out of my own strength, but with the strength that Jesus gives me. Two, I love what I'm doing. No wonder I can travel 15 hours and still enjoy what God has called me to do. Here in Bangalore, if it rains and the office says today go work from home, it's the happiest day. Oh, happy day. Right? Where is the joy in your existence on this earth? Do you really enjoy this gift of life that God has given you? Or is it just that you are on a survival mode? You know, if we have to put this verse together, expand it, and we have to read it again, it would be like this. Seek your exquisite joy in Yahweh Himself, and He will place within you and fulfill the desires that emerge from your innermost being. Is that there on the screen? I think we can, yeah. Okay. Seek your exquisite joy in Yahweh Himself, and He will place within you and fulfill the desires that emerge from your innermost being. You know, when your delight is in God, your desires will align to His will or with His will, and He will grant them. He will grant them. Does your desires align to or align with His will? Whatever you're dreaming for, whatever you're praying and asking God for. Bishop Augustine of Hippo, a very famous church father who was there from 354 to 430 AD, taught that when one delights in God, God Himself becomes the desire of the heart. Wow. Is God the desire of your heart? Just check. There's a lot of introspection now to do. You want to become a musician, you want to be a world traveler, You want to start a company. You want to become a CEO of a company. Whatever it is. What is God's role in shaping that desire in your life? My small group, I was talking to one of the girls, and she wanted to be an army officer. Her father is an officer. She's a biker. She wants to be an army officer. But now, when she started to allow God to shape her desire, just last week she said, Benny, I've been running away from God about this part, but I sense strongly that God is calling me towards teaching and preaching. Completely different to what she thought that she would do. When you surrender your life and your will into His hands, He will shape you. And that shaping can be completely different to what you are desiring. John Calvin emphasized that delight means submitting one's affections so that they are conformed to God's will. Now, we are tempted to delight ourselves in the world, to be molded by it. But God calls us to yield ourselves to Him, to be soft and malleable in His hand, so He can shape us into His image. Now, in this world, in our modern world, a lot of comparison happens. Even coming to church, sometimes it's become like a fashion parade. Where did you buy this? Sometimes you go back home, husband complains, nobody noticed my shoes. You go for a wedding, you buy a new set of saris. You wear it and you go, but you are not the star. And you're upset that nobody noticed your sari. Comparison. A lot of the things that we buy, that we wear, it's all brand-oriented clothes. Are we really, what do you buy? Is it something that you need, or is it something to impress somebody? We try to impress people who don't like us. We try to buy things just so that the world, iPhone 17 Pro now, I think. I asked them, what's the difference between 16 and 17? And I don't know, brother, but this is a very expensive phone. This is where we are heading towards. Young people, be careful. Even the type of courses. Psychology has become a very popular course nowadays. Counseling psychology. And we have counseling psychology students as well as graduates come for counseling to us. Why did you take up this? No, brother, this was very popular and now you need help. And these are the people who are trying to help your children. Once there was a therapist who came for counseling to us. Later on we came to know that she's been counseling the other guy who's been coming to us. Where are we heading towards? This is where, if you allow God to shape the desires of your heart, you will not be disappointed. And I'll share some of these applications in my life. How did I reach where I am today? A person who was so shy to talk in front of people. I have a voice that sounds like a girl. People made fun of my voice. I was bullied in school. Constantly, I would never speak. Could not play musical instrument. Thrown out of the first day of my music class, saying that you are not fit for music. Everything that I was told that you will never do it, God brought it to completion. And the only difference is, it is not my hard work. It was not even my transformative journey. It is just that I surrendered my desires into His hands and I said, Jesus, please shape my desires. Shape what is your will for my life. Does this mean that if you go to church every Sunday, God will give you a new BMW? The idea behind this verse and others like it, that when we truly rejoice or delight in the eternal things of God, our desires will begin to parallel to His, and we will never go unfulfilled. That's why this verse is, if you delight yourself in the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart. And we claim this verse, but the problem is we have already made our desires. What is God's desire for you today. At the age that you are in, the subjects that you want to take up, the job that you want to take up, the person that you want to marry, whatever it is, where is God's role in all these things, friends? Now, I never wanted to travel the world. My whole goal was one country before I die. That's all my dream was. And I told you already, I have 2 rejected stamps from UK. I never thought I could travel. Being a simple YWAM missionary, 1998, I joined YWAM, had 100 rupees a month as my support. Barely could manage. But I went in 2001. I told you that when 2002, when everything collapsed with my American dream, I had nothing. I couldn't think of anything else. I went back to Jesus and I said, God, I'm completely empty. I don't know. I don't even want to go out of the house. How will I face the world? What will I do? I was completely empty and I said, Jesus, please fill me. Fill me with your desire. Fill me with what you want to do with my life. And that is when he gave me this verse, Psalm 2, verse 8. Ask of me and I'll give you the nations for your inheritance and the ends of the earth for your possession. Imagine, I'm struggling with one visa. That's my potential. So I'm just desiring for one visa. Just let me go there, God. But God says, ask of me and I will give you the nations as your inheritance. He said, Benny, my dream for you is not just America. I want you to travel to every single country on this earth. You see, when people ask me today, how could you travel? You can show the world map on the screen. And this is my passport here. You know, when people ask how did this come about? It is not my idea. It is nothing but I just surrendered, got empty. I emptied myself. Went to Jesus and I said, God, all I have is a passport with rejected stamps. What is your desire? He said, I want you to travel to every country in the world. I'll tell you, friends, don't allow your circumstances and your report card to shape God's desires. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways make no sense to our earthly mind. But just see, this is what he did. He took me to every single country on this earth. 257 countries. He even took me to Antarctica. Everywhere I went, I shared the gospel of Jesus Christ. That was my ultimate purpose in everywhere I went. Sometimes 3 countries in a day. Morning I'm preaching in Tunisia, afternoon in Morocco, evening in Paris. And God gave me the strength. And my physical body is weak. But it was he who strengthened me in order to do these things. How did this come about? For a weak, fragile, timid person, this is when Jesus started to shape my desires. See, his ways are higher than your ways. Why don't you empty yourself of your earthly desires and ask Jesus, Lord, please shape my desires. I never thought that I could meet anyone prominent. The closest was Karen Lafferty. One day I was praying and I was asking the Lord, God, what is your purpose for my musical talent? And he said in Proverbs 22, verse 29, do you see a person skilled in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure people. And Jesus said, I'm going to take you in front of kings. And I said, God, I'm so timid. I'm so shy. You know, I struggle to speak in public because of my voice. And Jesus is telling, I'm going to put you in front of kings. 18th of September 2003. You can show the next picture, please. I was suddenly asked, I was sitting in a meeting with YWAM. A random guy comes to me and he says, Benny, we have an event with the president of Singapore. Is it possible for you to come and perform? And I was reminded of this verse. I never ran after for an opportunity. I was just attending a conference in Singapore. Then I was brought forward. I performed, but there was no way to get a picture with the president. Some of you would have read this story in my book. But The only way I can get a picture with the president is if the president would come and approach me. Nobody knows me there at that time, 2003. When I finished, when I went to put my guitar away, I turned around. It was the president. He came up to the stage and said, "Bring your guitar. I want to take a picture with you." And the next day, he signed it and sent it to me as a gift. How is this possible? Many times we have these big desires and dreams to meet artists. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Dubai opening up for Matt Redman and Tim Hughes. And, you can hear all these conversations with young people. "Oh, this is my dream. This is my desire, my dream. You are my dream. You're my idol," so on and so forth. This was nothing to do with my dream or anything else. I just asked God, please shape my desire. And He made the path. He carved the path. Imagine the president of a nation coming to an unknown person and saying, "Can I take a picture with you?" It's nothing but God taking the responsibility for the desires He has put in my life. Now, I want to also tell you some of the weak points. So far, it sounds like rosy and cozy. I was just an ordinary guitarist. 2004, I got invited to perform at the Olympic Games in Greece. They told me, "You cannot share your testimony." So I prayed. I said, "God, help me to design a guitar the world has never seen, so that this guitar will attract people. The athletes will be attracted to me, and in turn, I can share my testimony." That was my only desire of designing this guitar. And God gave me the idea to design the world's first guitar with drums inside. Later on in the US, they gave me a doctorate for designing this guitar. But everything came out of nothing. Literally nothing. No education in designing guitars. I just took a newspaper, drew whatever I could, put 2 bongos there, put all these things, took it to Tulsi Guitars, and then they designed it for me. Now, later on, I have some experience. Pride started to hit in me. And I could still use the same scripture. "God, you will fulfill the desires of my heart." I wanted to design. I just saw Pat Metheny. He designed a guitar which was called Picasso, which was 42 strings. And I wanted to beat him. So the next picture, please. So I designed a 54-string guitar for the FIFA World Cup in Germany. And I prayed. I did everything. But the question was, is that desire from God or is it mine? Of course, I could polish it with few Bible verses. I could bring God into the picture and use God to make myself a little known. And I designed this. And this guitar is the same story like the Titanic ship. Did not do one proper journey. Finally, at the FIFA World Cup, I could only end up using 6 strings out of 54. Nothing worked. You see, you might have all the intellect, the experience. I had by 2006, I had the experience of my travels. I broke few records by then. People came to know me. With all of that, I thought I could use my intellect. But you see, when God's desires are not birthed in me, even a fancy-looking guitar like the 54-string guitar would be a Titanic story. Might be some of you are sitting here with your fancy ideas, with your wealth of experience. But then you're asking God, why is God not, you're asking me, Benny, why is not God blessing me? Why is He not giving me the stamp of approval? You might say that I've done everything, but why am I not able to get that breakthrough? Go back to the drawing board and ask the question, is your desire shaped by God, or are you asking God for a stamp of approval in your life? This is how I was able to do things. And to close, the next picture, please. The Chai 316. If you have not been, we are quite close. In fact, this Friday, I would encourage you all to bring your friends and from, your youths and others. But the whole thing, 2 years it took to build. I finished traveling to every country in the world, 257 countries. 2011, came back to Bangalore. One day I'm sitting and praying and asking God, God, what do you want me to do? He said, go and buy a piece of land. And that's it. The next day I went to buy a land. It's as simple as that is. It was not my idea to buy land. I thought I will be traveling for the rest of my life. But God said, go and buy a piece of land. I went. I spoke to Francis. And the land was about 1.5 crores with all the discounts. He's a dear friend of mine. And then God said, go and empty your bank account. He said, you have 3 months to pay. And went and emptied. When I checked, there was about 1 crore. And I wrote those checks, gave it to Francis. We were sitting at Cafe Coffee Day. And Francis said, Benny, where did you get so much? Because I was still going by a scooter that time. And my most common transportation was scooter and aeroplane. That was the most common. And he said, where? And I told him, this is what God did for those last 13 years or 11 years of my travels. He said, only Jesus can do this, Benny. He took a sip of coffee and he said, the rest of the 50 lakhs is my gift into your ministry. I didn't have to say a sad story. Didn't kill somebody to say my mother is sick, my father is dead, my grandfather is in cancer. Nothing. No sad story. Just a simple living truth. And the beautiful thing is, the motto of Cafe Coffee Day is, a lot can happen over a cup of coffee. Whereas here it was over a sip of coffee. Francis said, 50 lakhs is my gift towards you. Now my bank is empty. I have a piece of land. And I'm asking God, what you want me to do with this? He said, Benny, build this. And the builder said, about 5 crores, 2 years. He said, I'll provide. I asked God, how will you provide? He said, use your CDs. Don't put a price for the CDs. Let people decide. And God did the miracle. All the money came in. No begging, no telling sad stories, no asking, nothing. You see, when God puts the desire, He fulfills it. So easy, so simple. How even getting all my visas. It's just God putting the desire. Friends, if we can surrender our lives, our will, and our future into the hands of Jesus Christ. It's not about us. It's not about the building, nothing like that. It is just God putting the desire. The last picture, please, is, in July, God put the desire in our hearts to bring churches together just for a time of worship. Once a month, every second Friday of the month, to have a time of worship, just 7 to 8:30. And it was amazing to see, month after month, more than 30 denominations, people putting aside all their denominations, coming together just to have a time of worship. On a Friday evening, it's a nightmare in Bangalore traffic. Some coming even from Bomanali. It's only God who could do this. What is God's role in shaping your desire today? Are you one of those you have already made a desire and telling God to approve it? Or are you willing to come empty in the presence of Jesus Christ and saying, Jesus, these are the things that I'm desiring, but what is your desire for my life? Whether it's a family, whether it's job, whether it's music, whether it's opportunities, whether it's your finances, whether it is your bonuses, or even your giving. What is God's role of shaping those desires? Today, my wife and I running this ministry, it is nothing but God shaping all these things. And we are just stewards of what God has done in our lives. Same thing with my book also. I never wanted to write a book. I like book where you have more pictures and less words. From 2011, people have been telling me, write. I never. COVID time, suddenly God put that desire. Now, the book has gone and become a blessing to thousands of people all over the world. Now, it is not my great idea. It is just nothing but surrendering and asking God, what is your desire for me? Parents, especially, as we build up so much of pressure over our children, Spend more time seeking for His desire for your family. Young people, as you look at all the options that the world offers, ask Jesus, Jesus, please shape my desire. Shape my desire.